Susan Claus.
Here.
Nancy Taylor.
Here.
Amy Kutsky.
Here.
Kurt Studer.
Here.
Mayor Mays.
Here.
Council President Garland.
Here.
Councilor Young.
Here.
Councilor Rosner.
Here.
Councilor Griffin.
Here.
I have not seen Councilor Kuiper. Councilor Browse.
Here.
Great. Tonight's meeting will also be a working and listening session. Jen, has anyone handed in any public comment forms? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to submit any public comments? No? Okay. Great. So we're going to go ahead and skip right on through public comment and jump right into new business. Joe and Katie.
So let me introduce this and then probably quickly pass it over to Katie. Since you last met, we've been reworking the budget. Once again, you received a packet of information. It's now called Scenario B2, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you received details of that a couple days ago. If you have specific questions about that scenario, we're here to answer those questions. Staff believes we've achieved what the hybrid scenario was that the committee was looking for. So we hope that this will go fairly smoothly this evening, but we're open to any questions you might have. We have the URA budget after this to go through still. So do you have anything specifically to add, Katie, or?
I think what I'd like to do is just take questions if you have any. I tried to make the packet very clear and take what you had requested and how we responded to those requests.
Are there any questions of the Budget Committee? Susan, any questions?
I just wanted to say that for Katie and Joe and for the staff, I really appreciate, as I know everybody else on that committee does, how far they've gone to make reductions. And Katie, your work is superb. Thank you for the clarity of the written word, because I think it makes our meetings go more efficient, and I think we're going to get out of there on time tonight. So,
thank you.
All in favor. So if there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion?
I have a motion which I'm going to read. Motion to approve revisions. I move to approve all revisions to the 2018-2019 proposed budget as presented in scenario B2.
Second. Any discussion?
Yep. Joe, approving this, it does not specifically authorize you to buy a sweeper, correct? Because of the size, it still has to go to the council. I ask because I still haven't seen a justification of buying one and continuing it in-house versus contracting it out.
I think, again, we don't have a specific threshold, but a purchase of that size would probably go to council.
So as long as it is going to council, then I'm good.
Yeah. And I don't think, based on what I'm just hearing, that I would go buy a sweeper without bringing it to council.
I hear you, Mr. Mayor.
So.
I mean, I have a lot of faith in staff and their work to justify blah, 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 but I haven't seen it, so I want to see it.
No problem.
And new council, I'm sure, would as well.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier, we had a question about meeting. One of the things that I would like to bring, and I think getting the budget committee input, it's ultimately up to council. Unlike a lot of cities that I'm familiar with where I've worked, is there is a clear policy that contracts over X amount go to council, contracts below a certain amount, the city manager is authorized. We don't have that clarity here. We need that clarity. So that's something that, in terms of tightening up our policies, I would like to have happen between now and the end of this calendar year. So
that's fairly standard.
It's fairly standard. So when I got here, not having it was unusual.
And that wasn't in your contract?
Nope.
I'm pretty sure that's where it was before.
All right.
Any other comments? Paul?
Noticed in the scenarios, the expense reductions that removing the cost of living raise for Joe. In the comp study, was there an increase in your salary?
Doesn't affect Joe.
It doesn't affect, and that change came from me. My contract basically says that whatever the COLA is for employees, that I get the same COLA. But I have a long-standing practice that when I'm putting together a budget and I'm cutting real people, that I defer my COLA. I've done that before here, and I've done that in other jobs, and I'm well compensated, and it's not a lot of money, but when you're looking for savings, that's just something that is important to me personally. So.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that because we're cutting so much. And would the council have the option of putting that back in?
They certainly could.
Yep.
Yep.
It is at the annual review, absolutely.
Yep.
During the supplemental budget or something?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I guess I do. So I know it's not spelled out in here under description of reallocation of staffing resources, the economic development URA duties being split between city manager, community development director, and finance director. So at some point, I know it's your business, but at some point is the council going to be privy to maybe specifically how and what the plan is?
Yes.
Okay. I know it has not necessarily anything to do with the budget.
Yeah, and this is to basically reshuffle with the elimination of the ACM position, kind of split that responsibility. I think we still have an outstanding issue to discuss about, do we have enough resources to dedicate to economic development? I think this new council is much more interested in bringing jobs here than the previous council. So I think that's a conversation we need to have at the council level, and there may be adjustments down the line, which could include financial adjustments. So
I think my point is, and I was mentioning this to the mayor at the meeting last week, that because we're limiting the position that oversaw 3 or 4 different big areas, and just to say that we're divvying up the responsibilities without having a concrete written down plan allocating who's going to do what, and sort of a vision, a mini vision statement of now what are we going to do for economic development, how are we going to handle, what's the vision for HR now, maybe some of that information would be great to see at our end.
Yep.
At the council.
And you will, as those get further developed.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, if none, I will now call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much.
So that vote approved the revisions.
Correct.
Then we need another vote in order to
Okay,
approve the budget.
final budget approval. I move to approve the proposed 2018-2019 City of Sherwood budget, including a prior approved motion to amend. I also move that the Sherwood Budget Committee approve taxes for the 2018-2019 fiscal year of $3.2975 per 1,000 of assessed value for operating purposes and $282,999.49 for bond debt levy.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Tim?
And just for anyone out in TV land watching, and Kitty, if you could confirm that we're not changing our permanent rate at all, the taxes will stay the same.
That's correct. The permanent rate of $3.2975 is our permanent rate. We currently assess that, and that will stay the same. And the amount for the bonded debt, $282,949, is the amount that we need to pay the debt for the current year. That's all that we can assess, and that's what we will be assessing.
In advance, I want to thank the Budget Committee for all their hard work on this final budget. More importantly, equally importantly, want to thank Katie and Joe and leadership, city staff for all their hard work as we pushed for some adjustments. And he came back great.
Any other final comments? Okay, I will now call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the proposed 2018-19 City of Sherwood budget, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now adjourn this committee meeting and open the URA budget meeting.
So real quick, I'm going to jump in and throw things out of whack. Just for those who might have noticed, we have Jen sitting up there who has not been up there before. You may be used to seeing Jean. One of the things that was just approved here was reallocation of some of the resources. So one of the positions was a finance tech position that was eliminated, and we've now taken the legal administrative assistant, and she is now being spread across departments. So we've started the cross-training already. Jen is deep in finance now and is learning many things, and she's being a great help, and so we decided to just throw her right in the fire. So she is here tonight doing the minutes for us, getting to know all of you, how these meetings work. So you'll be seeing her from now on with the Budget Committee, and she's also doing all of the work that Jean previously did, so all of the administrative work, and then with her coming from the legal side, she'll be helping put together all of the resolutions that will be going forward for the budget and all of that. I'll be working with her over the coming week to get all of that finalized. So she's already doing that. And Lisa, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you look at the back of the public back here, stand up, Lisa, just for a second. Now you can sit back down. This is our first volunteer for the receptionist position. Yay! Lisa is covering Monday through Thursday, 2:30 to 5 right now. And she has just really jumped right in and is covering Word documents and envelopes and handling stuff up on the mezzanine upstairs here, and is just doing a great job. And she said she was interested in coming to see how these things go. So, and she's been here in Sherwood, I think, just since January. So, welcome. So I'm trying to bring her into what we do here. So
Lots of cool things to experience.
So anyway, just to show you that the changes that you suggest and make, we implement very quickly. So you can see 2 examples right here. So anyway,
Well, welcome, Jen, and welcome, Lisa. We're all happy to have you. I will now call to order the Sherwood Urban Renewal Agency budget meeting for May 24th, 2018. Katie, will you please do the roll call?
Chair Mirna Meyer,
I am here.
Vice Chair Paul Mayer,
Here.
Tyrone Stammers,
Here.
Susan Claus, Nancy Taylor, Amy Kutsky, here, Kurt Studer.
Here.
Now I have to remember the proper titles. Board Chair Mays,
Here.
Board Member Garland,
Here.
Member Young,
Here.
Member Rosner,
Here.
Member Griffin,
Here.
Member Kuiper,
Here.
Member Browse. Here.
Well done, Katie. Jen, can you confirm whether or not anyone has submitted any forms for public comment? Okay. So we are going to skip over public comment. And Joe, I invite you to share your budget message with us.
Okay, so in your proposed original budget, toward the back, on pages 1 and 2, I think it has a tab.
It's in the URA tab at
It's
the
in
very
the
back.
URA tab. you'll see the budget message that was written by Tom Pessimir in light of the decision to eliminate his position. Didn't necessarily feel it was appropriate for Tom to come present this tonight. And I am primarily taking on the responsibilities, or a good chunk of the responsibilities, along with Katie and Julia, in terms of the URA from here on out. I am the URA director. Tom did all the work primarily until recently. So the URA, as you know, is approaching its closure, 2022, I believe, hopefully.
It looks like December 2023 as of today.
Okay. All right, well,
We need
it's
to
coming.
talk about that a little now.
This budget is fairly straightforward, not a lot of expenses proposed next year. Tom, in his budget message, talked about an electronic reader board, which we've talked about for a number of years. One of the challenges with that is locating a reader board on the Arts Center property that will be able to be read if we sell, or I should say, when we sell the property next door and a building gets built. We don't want to put a sign up that can't be seen by traffic. So that is in the budget for this coming year. We're still going to try to figure that out, involve the URA board before we make a decision on that. But that's the only real appropriation defined in the budget. We will be trying to sell properties and get some of the URA properties redeveloped. I think that's a prime motivation that I have taking on this responsibility this year. We need to meet with the URA board because we have new members to make sure we're in sync with them. But we're largely on a path of not spending a lot of money and closing this urban renewal district out in the foreseeable future. So am I missing anything from your perspective?
I just wanted to go over some of
Yeah, go ahead.
So along the lines of what Member Griffin mentioned earlier about the staffing and things like that. So how did we come up with the personnel numbers that we have here? Because you have to have those as a basis. And so what we've done for this is that it is 5% of my time. It's 20% of Julia's time, which is for those watching, the community development director's time, and 25% of Joe's time, the city manager.
0.5.
So the total is 0.5 between those three positions. We don't know yet what the exact distribution will be, but between the land transactions, the economic development transactions, the financial reporting, that's how we envisioned it, and we needed to make that allocation in order to put together all of these funds. So there may be some shifting, and possibly at mid-year we'll have to do some transfers between different departments depending on how things are panning out, but we thought that was a good place to start. So there is some decrease in the personnel costs for the URA that you can see, and you also see a decrease in the cost allocation. The overhead, which you may have seen for the rest of the city as well, is an allocation of the overall administrative costs. We made quite a few cuts in administrative costs for the city, so those are also seen in the URA, which is helpful. And as there's less work done in the URA, we'll also see those declining. One thing that I wanted to point out that somebody asked last week, it might have been Kurt, somebody asked a question about the debt and how did we get a 0.55% on a debt issuance?
Oh, yeah.
Was it you, Paul? And so I just wanted you to know that I looked into that, and the 0.55% was on the interim loan from Business Oregon during the time of construction, and it was never corrected. So that was way back in, I think, 2011, and so that line carried through. We're currently paying 2%, and it's been corrected in the financial statements, which are audited, and it's corrected there, and the correction never made it to the budget book. So we're actually paying 2% at the time that when the project was completed, and we had a new allocation schedule. So amortization schedule, I mean. So that's to
Which
answer that
project
question.
specifically are you talking
That's the
about?
cannery
Okay,
Kennedy Square.
for the square.
That was just an outstanding question. I wanted to make sure you got answered on that. Other than that, the debt service is the other large expense that you see. That just corresponds to the annual debt service. Some of you may remember, I think we have several new people though. So we did look at refinancing, and was there any savings to be had with refinancing debt? And is that something that we should look at, or with trying to close the URA, should we wait? And we ended up discovering that much of the debt cannot be, it's not callable, or we have to pay the interest basically if we decide to call it. So there wasn't savings. This is why I say the 2023 date. Because if we close before 2023, we will have to do, I can't remember the proper name. It's a defeasance where you take the money and you put it in escrow until the time when you can pay off the debt, because we literally can't pay it off. The earliest we could pay off everything, it appears to be 12/1 of 2023. So there are different ways we could look at it if we chose to close early, but it would not be for savings, and it wouldn't do anything besides putting that money aside until 2023 when we could actually pay for it. So that's something to consider for the URA. That also...
And the law changed on URAs. It used to be, you know, they're more successful. You get your maximum indebtedness and you'd be more successful than planned, and you'd retire the debt early because you'd be paying it faster than, but the law changed, and instead of paying it off faster than your schedule, you divvy up the extra revenue, the extra tax revenue instead.
So those are things, that's why the date is a little different, is that we've been looking at the debt.
Yeah. Before the law changed, we thought it would be retired by this year.
Yep.
Yep.
When you say divvy up tax revenue, divvy up between?
All the taxing jurisdictions that normally get something on from your property tax bill.
Any other questions or comments on the URA budget?
I want to talk to you sometime about
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I need to give it to somebody.
And it right there next to you.
Okay, I move to approve all revisions to the 2018-2019 proposed urban renewal agency budget as presented in scenario B2.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye and raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Susan?
Not opposed.
I didn't hear an aye, so,
Oh, no, I said aye earlier.
okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
Nope.
No, one more motion.
Step
Got to do
one.
taxes.
No.
Two-step.
Okay.
Unadjourned.
Sorry, got a little excited.
You looked at that clock.
I move to approve the proposed 2018-2019 Sherwood Urban Renewal District budget, including the prior approved motions to amend. I also move that the committee approve taxes for the 2018-2019 fiscal year of $4,078,783 for operating purposes.
Second. Kim?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Meeting adjourned.
Awesome.